Theon was sitting in the living area with a sleeping Ayn in his lap. Ayn woke up in the early hour of morning. That's why they took her out for the room. She played for a few times and then fell asleep in her Uma lap. It was early morning, so the house was silent as a feather. The sun was peeking through the mountains. Theon, what are you doing here so early? Mom asked as she crossed that to the living room. They turned his head toward Mom and greeted her. Ayn woke up. That's why I took her here. Jungkook was asleep. I don't want to disturb him. They said, go and take some rest. We have a long tiring day ahead. Mom said, I'm fine, Mom. Ayn is asleep, and if I move, she would wake up. They said and gave a smile. Mom kissed his head lovingly. I'll prepare the tea for us. Let's have mother and son time. They smiled. Mom went away and came back after a while with a tray in her hand. She handed a cup to tea. Thanks, Mom, they said. It was such a needed because his head was still throbbing due to crying. After that, the living area started getting crowded with the family members. Ayn was also awake by now. Good morning, Jungkook called out as he joined them. His eyes automatically roamed around and got fixed on Tae. He was taking with Ayn and didn't spare a glance. He walked up to them, bent down in front of him, and kissed Ayn while his eyes were fixed on Theon. He kept looking down. Good morning, he whispered. Good morning. They replied but didn't glare at him. Breakfast is served, Aunt said. Everyone settled and get up for their places and went toward the dining area. They, can you pass me the juice? Jungkook said using the old trick, trying to get their attention. They filled the glass and gave it to him. Can you please pass me the boiled egg? He said, and they took an boiled egg and placed it in his plate. He was giving Jungkook everything except his attention. Please, pass me the black pepper, he said. He was about to move his hand forward when Mom interrupted. Jungkook, it's right in front of you. Why can't you pick it up by yourself? Let him have the breakfast, Mom said. Jungkook nodded, but he didn't pick it up for himself and silently eating the breakfast. Theon picked up the black pepper and passed it beside his plate. He didn't touch it. I want to look at me, he groaned. I talked to him after breakfast. They stood up for his seat and disappeared along with the aunt. His face fell on, looking at his figure. Ayn, why is mad at me? It was just a kiss. He stopped as he realized he was talking with Ayn. I know I act an idiot, but if he didn't want to talk to me, at least he could look at me. Let's see how long he can ignore me. I'll confess my feeling to him today, he whispered. Jungkook was staring at the rose bouquet with a wide smile on his face. He had booked a trip. I hope he liked all this, he mumbled. He heard a soft knock on the door and turned around. His eyes fell on Jaehoop. Jungkook, take Ayn. They told me to give Ayn to you, Jaehoop said, holding dressed up Ayn. Jungkook looked at Ayn and frowned. When did she get ready? Where is they? Jaehoop asked and looked down for him. They is getting ready in Jin's room, Jaehoop said, and I was just in my own thought. Jungkook cleared his thought. Alright, see you later. I need to help Namjoonhya. Jaehoop started and Jungkook nodded, and Jaehoop left the room. Jungkook shifted his eyes toward Ayn. She was looking pretty in pink frock, paired up with a headband and silver shoes. You are looking so pretty, Ayn. He kissed her cheek. I'm waiting for both of you here. I thought, no matter how much you want to ignore me, at the end of the day, he will come here to get ready. He turned his gaze toward the flower and added, I was going to confess my feeling, Ayn. Why didn't you tell him that you want to get ready in your own room? You could have helped your daddy because you know my planning since morning. Ayn giggle. Laugh, Ayn. Keep laughing at me. You're enjoying my situation. That's very bad, you know. The young behavior is making me nervous already. He mumbled the last part. But I do that tonight. You won't be able to escape then. He smiled. Jungkook roamed around the house with Ayn in his arm. The house was filled with so many people, but his eyes were shifting around to find Tae. His lips stretched into a smile. After supporting Tae taking with the guest in the lawn where the stage was set up. Taeyong was wearing pink, as usual, twinning with Ayn. His simplicity made him stood out for the rest of the people, and he won't be able to move his gaze away from Taeyong. Aunt handed them the rings. Jungkook walked up to Taeyong and stood beside him. Hey, Jungkook said, and they looked at him. Dan and Jia were exchanging the ring. Both the families congratulated each other. There was such a smile on everyone's faces. After a photo shoot, Dan and Jia were stepped down from the stage as he introduced Jia to all his friends and family. It was a time for Jia and Namjoon wedding. Jin bought a traditional dress with the same color worked on it. The priest started the wedding. Later at night, the guests started taking their leave. After a while, the family member returned to their rooms. They were sitting alone in the living area. Where should I go? They mumbled. I cannot face him. They stood up and went toward the room, his old home, where he used to stay before. On the other hand, Jungkook kept waiting for Taeyong in the room. Eventually fell asleep, sitting on the chair. Next morning, they poured down the water in the teapot and turned the stove to prepare the tea. They had a terrible headache due to all the crying and sleepless night. Thought maybe a cup of tea would help his nerve to calm down. Are you ignoring me? Jungkook stood, adjusted Tae with the bag and pressed him to the kitchen shelf. No. Why would I? They shuddered as he didn't spare a glare. The mindless picked up the jar and opened the lid. His patient was making him Tae. Stretched the jar for Tae and said, It's salt. The foreman looked at the jar. It was indeed a salt container. He put the jar back and handed Tae the sugar. They keep striking the tea. His ignorance was annoying him. Where were you last night? He asked softly. In my room. He replied. No, you were not. I keep waiting for you, but you are not there. He replied. In my room, not yours, they said, and he found that realization would dawn upon him. That he was talking about the guest room, in which he was living a month ago. Is it all about what happened the other day? I have apologized to you already. I know I should have asked for your permission. He signed. They turned off the stove. Are you okay? He foamed, his hand toward his forehead. They moved away, leaving his hand in the air. I have lost my mind. They walked back with a storm of emotion rushing into his heart. He grabbed his elbow and pulled it toward himself. He narrowed his eyes and said, What are you saying? His eyes were fixed on his chest. If something is wrong, we can talk it out. I don't want to talk, she suggested, and tied his grip around his elbow. Are you angry at me? He questioned. His tone was laced with that sincerity. I am angry at myself. Let me go, please. Tears were welled up in his eyes. He shook his head and said, What's wrong? I'm so stupid. He got worried at his outburst. No. They stop him. Don't listen. Don't say anything. Please let me go. They pulled his heart out and closed his eyes. He was getting afraid that what will happen if we come to know about his feeling for him. If you don't want to talk, be it. If you want space, be it. I won't push you, but please stop crying, Tae. I can't see you like this, he said in a comforting tone. I won't pressurize you, he repeated and left his arm.